Koto, Markie here. Can you hear the wind whistling? It's very blustery, gusty winds today. I'll just be silent for a few seconds, see if you can. Obviously, I'm in the shelter of a car, my mobile studio, and the camera will shake because I'm holding it up in an awkward fashion. Previously, I got through about halfway through what would have been this video, and with a clever, or what I thought was a clever way of propping the camera up, and then it all fell down and I said rude words. So we're starting again from scratch, and sadly the view isn't as nice as it was, you know, just 5 minutes ago. All the pinks and lighter colours in the sky have faded because the sun has set. So we want the sun to set on your retroactive jealousy. Retroactive jealousy is a hellish condition, and I strongly recommend that you get rid of it. Okay, now that might seem like a statement of the obvious, but lots of people seem very resistant to getting well, and some people don't even really have a recovery focus. So I think I've said before, I'll go on, there's a subreddit on Reddit. It looks like a face in that cloud, doesn't it? You see that? It's a man with a long gonzo type nose. Ah, it's changed already. They do that, clouds. By the time you point it out to somebody, it's changed and they think you're mad. There we go. That's ADHD for you. So, yeah, this subreddit, there's very little recovery focus on there. People seem to just want to talk about how hard done by they are by their partner, and that is not, you know, if you like that, you're going to have it forever. Basically, it's never going to change. But some people do all the right things and still struggle. Okay, now when I say still struggle, I say that all things being equal, if you're doing all the right things, and for all the right things, I've got a video on that. I'll link it below, but it's something along the lines of 3 essential things for recovering from retroactive jealousy. Obviously, you have to do more than 3 things, but it's kind of 3 principles. Okay, so if you're following all those, if you're following the 3 principles and basically doing, you know, everything that you can as if your life depended on it, because one of the principles is you have to give it, you know, more than 100%, and you still haven't had any noticeable benefits between 6 and 12 months, then it's good to dig a little bit deeper and look at why it's not going away, what's going on. And usually there's a variety of things that can complicate recovery from retroactive jealousy. I'm not going to say they're not total barriers, they're challenges, and I'm not just kind of being Pollyanna in my language, because I think, you know, if you do the right things and you get the right help, and this is where getting the right help probably comes in, this is where therapy probably is essential, then you should get better. So I've done videos about things like secondary gains. So secondary gains means that even though something's horrible, there can still be benefits to it, even though you don't realise it. It's hard to imagine with something as horrible as retroactive jealousy, but there can be reasons why it serves you. Usually they're unhealthy reasons, and that's one of the things I want to talk about today. So we talked about, so one of the things that can complicate recovery is other conditions running alongside the RJ. So, for example, anything really, any sort of serious mental health condition, or, you know, probably even physical health conditions that are unaddressed. If you've got that going on as well, it's going to make it much harder for you to recover. So if you've got a problem with depression, if you've got a problem with general anxiety, and if things like autism and ADHD add a flavour into the broth that is that you think is your RJ, because we're not treating a disease, are we? We're treating people. You know, you're a human. You're a whole human being, not a diagnosis. So you have to kind of look holistically. But what I want to talk about here today is a model. It's based on a model by a man called Karpman. I can't remember what his first name was. It's usually referred to as the Karpman triangle or the drama triangles. It's got nothing to do with thespianism. and it's a diagrammatical model, and as you can see from the video, you're not looking at a diagram. I think I have done a video on this, in the past, not related to retroactive jealousy, but just due to the model, about the model in general. And whenever I try and film using any kind of flip chart or whiteboard or anything like that, it usually goes horribly wrong. So I might have removed that video. I looked for it under all the possible titles that it could have gone under, and I couldn't find it. So, but even if you find that, it's only going to be talking about the model in general, and it's not going to be relating it directly to retroactive jealousy. So the Cartman or drama triangle comes from a school of therapy called transactional analysis, or TA, and TA in turn comes from psychoanalysis, and it's all about the way that we relate to others, and also how we relate to ourselves, because we are not just it's not just like we do have a personality, and people talk about one personality, but actually there's a mix. There's different sides to our psyche, and they interact, and that's what psychodynamic means. And psychodynamic would apply to well, so it's not a word that's usually applied to transactional analysis, but I would say psychodynamic with a small p could be applied to psychoanalysis and to transactional analysis, because it's about the dynamic, the relationship, the changes, the movement between different elements. So transitional analysis, you've probably heard of like parent, adult, child stuff. That's quite a commonly known thing. So sometimes we adopt a parental role or a parental kind of attitude towards somebody, and we kind of get a bit finger wagging, and then sometimes we operate from just an adult point of view, and we talk to the other person as an equal. And then sometimes we go into a child mode, maybe when we're not feeling so great, maybe when we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or something like that. And the other person adopts a different one of these ego states, they call them. So you could be an adult and they could be in child, you could be an adult and they could be an adult, they could be in parent, you could be in child. It's all those different combinations. So it comes out of that. So it's basically working with the theory that we shift from different roles, if you like, different mood states, the ego states they call them, but different roles, different attitudes, coming from a different place within ourselves, and behaving in a different way. So in this model we have it's a triangle. Now, is it how do you describe the triangle? It could be an equilateral triangle, but it doesn't have to be. My memories of geometry are kind of coming back to me in a very kind of patchy way. I'm thinking about what other triangles are there. There are isosceles triangles. Is that right? If I remember that correctly, is isosceles a type of triangle? Anyway, that's not helpful at all. So I'm going to park isosceles triangles where I found them. Excuse me, coughing. I may be a bit Bob Fleming in this video because I swallowed something and it went down the wrong way, and I've just stopped coughing. So bear with me. I might go into fits of coughing. Hopefully I won't. So it's a triangle, and it's an upside down triangle for a reason. And on the top left hand corner, the top two ones, it doesn't matter whether you put them to the left or the right, but for the purposes of this video, let's say the role of persecutor is on the top left, and the role of rescuer is on the top right, and the role of victim is down at the bottom. And that's quite deliberate, because victim is so people who are in a persecutor mode will look down upon the person that they and they will kind of invite the other person to go into victim mode. And people in rescuer mode will be putting themselves up above somebody that's in the victim mode and inviting them to go into the victim mode. So it ties in with the parent-child thing. So victim would be a bit like child, and rescuer and persecutor would be a bit like parent, but not so good parents in this case. And the triangle represents all the bad things that we do, all the manipulative things that we do. Now, don't give yourself a hard time if you recognize yourself in this model, because you will if you have any insight at all. You'll think, oh, I do a bit of that. It's all blurry, isn't it? I'm going to zoom. It's a shame because we're losing the light. It looked gorgeous a short while ago. It's a big pair of cosmic eyes looking at us from the clouds. So none of these roles are good. Okay, they're all bad. They're all manipulative. They can be done consciously or unconsciously. Probably mostly unconsciously. So we'll go through them. So persecutor, you're getting on someone's case, you're giving them a hard time. Doesn't necessarily, it could include violence and verbal abuse, but it doesn't have to. It could just be involved being stern. It could involve things like nagging, or just being very high-handed, or sanctimonious, or all the kind of ways, that it's not nice to be talked to. Then you get the rescuer. Now the rescuer sounds good, obviously if you're drowning in the ocean, and it's good to be rescued, but this kind of rescuing isn't good. That's like a top hat on the right now, isn't it, in the clouds? So rescuers are condescending. It might be masked. It might not necessarily come across as condescending, but it is condescending. It's, oh, you poor little thing, let me sort you. You don't know, you're clueless. You don't know what you're doing, do you? So let me sort it all out for you, or tell you what to do. And you can see how people can swing from one to the other. And then the one at the bottom, victim. Okay, so victim. It's interesting because the victim role has become very popular these days. Lots of people have talked about how people seem to be, especially on social media, out victiming everybody else. So if somebody's experiences, harassment, or is woe-begotten in some way, or treated unfairly, or perceived to be treated unfairly, then that makes, that seems to make them popular. That seems to make for lots of clicks and likes and views and brownie points. So, but it's not good. It's not healthy. It's like they're trying to achieve. There's a kind of a status in victimhood, which is a kind of a current trend. I'm just lifting the camera because the clouds have lightened just above, and they look quite nice. So. All of these roles, we will all go into these roles at some point or another, unless you're some saint. And if you don't recognise going into them, you're either, there's either two things going on. You're a saint or a narcissist. Okay, because narcissists have no sense of their own faults. So if you think, oh, we don't do any of those things, then search your feelings, Luke. Look deeply into what you do and how you operate, because you might be a narcissist. And narcissism and retroactive jealousy do correlate. They do overlap. They do go together. Not always, but if you think about it, having an expectation that your partner has been loyal to you, and faithful to you, even before you were together, is essentially quite a narcissistic expectation, isn't it? I own you, and I own your past. I own your whole life. I'm going to move the camera over here actually, because the view's a bit nicer. So, except for there's nothing to support my arms. Here we go, that's better. So, if you don't recognise that you go into any of these roles, I suppose in fairness it could mean three things. Some people just have very low insight. They just have no awareness of self and the inner machinations of their own mind and psyche. Some people are saints. I think there have been a few in the history of mankind, but probably not that many, and you don't come across them very often. So the chances of you being a saint watching this video are very slim. And if you are a saint and you're watching this video, then please send your blessings to me. There's mysterious lights now on the beach. So, or you're a narcissist. And if you're a narcissist, it's very hard. Narcissists lack insight as well, and it's very, very hard. Some people do acknowledge. You think, oh shit, yeah, I think I've realised I'm a narcissist, and that's great. If you can do that, because there is hope for you if you can do that. But generally speaking, narcissists don't admit any kind of fault or any degree of mental illness, or unless they are the covert narcissists. And the covert narcissists are very much about being in victim mode. So covert narcissists often do have a condition, physical or mental, that they play on. And that's also a reason, and that's the reason why, if you, so I suppose why narcissists don't get better from retroactive jealousy. But you can be prone to the victim mode without being a narcissist. You don't necessarily have to be a narcissist, because we'll all probably have, I have to move the camera back because it's hurting my arm. We all will do, like I say, all of these roles at different times, and we will all probably have like a favorite one that a go-to one that we use more often than not. And it's not necessarily done in a deliberately, manipulative way. It's not necessarily done, somebody thinking, right, I'm gonna fool everybody into thinking that, I'm hard done by and get lots of sympathy. It's mainly unconscious. There's somebody who's parked up next to me that's a bunch of people, and they're being quite noisy, so you'll hear voices in the background. So it's okay if you notice a pattern of these things, and I'll put my cards on the table. My go-to place on that triangle is victim. So it's a way of getting our needs met, of getting people to attend to us, getting attention, getting off the hook sometimes. Just a way of operating socially, if you like, and psychologically. So you can move rapidly through those different roles. You can, people can go through from persecutor, rescuer, and victim in a conversation, in a very short space of time, in minutes or days. People can dap around the triangle like crazy, and in the course of an argument, two people having an argument, they'll all be all over that triangle. So you don't have to be on the triangle. Okay, so the opposite of being on that triangle, there is another model of the triangle which is like a positive version. I don't like it. I think it's a bit, I don't know, it just feels a bit schmaltzy. I just like to say that, if you're not on the triangle, then you are in your adult ego state, which means you're rational, you're aware of your emotions, you're assertive, you are compassionate, and fully resourced. The best of you, the best of your thinking, the best of your behavior is when you're in that adult state. So being in the adult state is the opposite of being on the triangle. So some people like to have a positive triangle, but I don't like that. I think that just complicates the issue. Just be in your best place, be in your adult state, rather than being on the triangle. Easier said than done, but it's something you can work on. It's what people work on in therapy, even though they might not know they're working on that. People can be working on that in therapy. So why am I talking about this in relation to retroactive jealousy? Well, I think all of those roles would come into retroactive jealousy presentation, but I think the victim is one of the roles. If you're habitually in the victim role, that's going to be a really good reason for you not to get well. Okay, so to maintain a victim role, to be predominantly in the victim role, if that's your general way of getting your needs met and getting things done, and getting what you want from other people, and that there's going to be no motivation to let go of the retroactive jealousy, because, and I see this on the forum, like the subreddit that I was talking about, people just like to post, my partner did this and did that, and and how am I supposed to get over this, and I feel like they've tricked me, and blah 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 blah. If you're in victim mode, you're never going to get beyond that, because you need something. You need some, what's the word, some grist for the mill. You need some evidence, in inverted commas, to justify your victimhood. It's false evidence. So it's a good idea to get out of that pattern anyway, even if you haven't got retroactive jealousy. But if you have got retroactive jealousy and you're stuck in that victim role, you got to do some work, and I'm talking get some therapy here, get some specialist psychotherapy. I'm a psychotherapist, and obviously I run Retract, the specialist service for counselling and therapy for people with retroactive jealousy. But I don't generally do a hard sell in my videos for that. I just make people aware from time to time that it's there. And I offer a lot of self-help techniques for people with retroactive jealousy. Some of my colleagues would disagree with me. Some of my team would disagree, and they say therapy is essential for recovery from retroactive jealousy. I don't think it necessarily is, but it often is. And often what we find is people come to us with retroactive jealousy and actually can sometimes move through that quite quickly, because the treatment for retroactive jealousy is actually quite simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. If you do the right things, generally you get well. But then people often, and often the therapy for retroactive jealousy is quite brief because it's technique based. But then people often stay in therapy for a lot longer because they realise it's like they've looked at the tip of the iceberg, the retroactive jealousy, and they've realised there's a whole host of other demons hiding underneath that they want to work with. And often it's to do with attachment, it's to do with trauma, all those kinds of things. And I've talked about that in other videos, so I won't dwell on that here. But this could be a reason why you're not getting well, okay? So something to think about, okay? So I will just touch on a little bit more on some of those other roles and how they might relate to retroactive jealousy. So, and I'll be interested in your thoughts on this, really interested. So persecutor is a common one. So some people give their partners a really hard time. I mean, constantly asking questions is persecutory, and people who are partners of people with retroactive jealousy, they feel shamed, they feel attacked, they feel that they never get any peace. They feel very judged. And it's interesting actually, because we have screening questionnaires on our website that list the symptoms of retroactive jealousy, and the last question on there is, does your partner feel I think it's judged, labelled or harassed? And quite often people will tick no. They won't tick yes to everything else, they tick no to judged, labelled and harassed. But you ask the partner, do you feel judged, labelled and harassed? Yes, very much so. Of course they do. So it's one of the things, for a lot of people that, if your recovery isn't, going reasonably smoothly, if it's not progressing, you need to do some work to develop your insight. You need to learn much more about yourself and how you operate, in lots of ways. But through this model particularly. So, yeah, persecution. So rescuing is where so somebody with retroactive jealousy who rescues their partner would maybe have a go at them. Usually people swing from rescuer to persecutor and back again, and often through victim along the way. And so rescuing would be a bit like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, you didn't do anything wrong, it's me, it's me, it's not you, all that kind of stuff. That would be the rescuing. But it's, so in order for it to be rescuing on the drama triangle, it needs to have an element of insincerity about it, really, or of manipulation about it, and this would be more a means to placate your partner and prevent your partner from leaving you, rather than a genuine change of heart and a genuine, oh, you haven't done anything wrong, because the likelihood is that person, even while they're saying that, thinks you have done something wrong. Well, the kinds of things that people say about their partners with retroactive jealousy. So all those elements of the triangle. But I think, and this came to me in a big flash just the other day, I think the victim role is predominantly the most common for people with retroactive jealousy. And I want to talk to you, I want to tell everyone about this. And it's hard to actually recognize and admit and see this stuff. Best way is to get feedback from other people, and just observe yourself as you're talking. As you, especially if you're having an argument or something like that, rather than just being lost in the moment, you know, keep an observing self part of you alive, so that you can actually notice what you're doing in the moment. You think, hang on a minute, I'm really playing the victim now. You know, I'm having a pity party, I'm giving a sob story, all those things. So we can help you with this. If this is something that you think is going on for you, get in touch with us via the website, which is linked below. We have an amazing team of therapists, and we cover the whole world. We do online therapy. If you're really close to where we happen to be, then we can do face-to-face therapy, but generally speaking it's online, because we work with people all over the world, because there are only a handful of specialist therapists that work with RJ throughout the whole world. So we try and help people as much as we can by giving out free information, but sometimes you just have to have therapy, really. You don't have to come to us, but there aren't many retroactive jealousy specialists. If you can't see a retroactive jealousy specialist, then find somebody that is familiar with treating obsessive compulsive disorder, because that's what RJ is a form of. Don't go and see anybody that doesn't have good experience, at least with obsessive compulsive disorder, and ideally see somebody that's got experience with retroactive jealousy, because not many therapists even know that it's a thing. The vast majority don't, and often the approaches they might take can actually even make you worse, if they're not aware of the actual mechanics of what's going on. So I hope that gives you something to think about. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions. Let me know what you think, which role you think you might, what might be your dominant role out of that triangle, because there will be one, even if you're not on the triangle very often, because you're a human being, you know, and that's what we human beings do, because we're not perfect. So thank you for watching, and if you can help us by sharing this, by watching to the very end, even though you can tell by what I'm saying that I'm winding down the video, if you can watch to the very end, just doing that helps, because it makes YouTube promote the video more widely, so people that wouldn't normally see it get to see it, and they're the kind of people we're trying to reach that have retroactive jealousy and don't even know it's a thing. We want to get the information out to them. The other things you can do if you really want to be a super duper help is you can subscribe and like, give us a nice comment, and you can also sponsor us for even a teeny tiny amount, but it makes a big difference, and there's details about that all in the description box. So really appreciate all that. Thank you for watching, and we will be back to you soon with more videos. Might not necessarily be about retroactive jealousy, but retroactive jealousy is always on our mind all the time that we're running this channel. And Rangimarie.